Welcome back, everyone. So welcome to week 2. So in week 2, we're going to get into unit 2, molecules of life. So just a reminder, last week we finished week 1 with the scientific processes and chemistry basics. So I should be grading your Unit 1 lecture review homework assignment, as well as the pages from your lab supplement, and you should have already received a grade for your Lab 1 Scientific Methods exercise quiz, and then you have your Unit 1 lecture lab quiz due tonight. So those you'll be receiving grades on. And then you have your lab kit waiver release form that was due last night. So if you forgot to do that, try to get it in right this second. You might not get a lab kit otherwise. And then if you haven't done so already, please introduce yourself in the lab forum, or the introduce yourself forum. Okay, so this week we're going to get into the molecules of life. So this continues on with chapter 2 from your OpenStax textbook. So in OpenStax textbook, we're going to take a look at how we take the molecules, macromolecules, I should say, of life. There's 4 of them: the carbs, the lipids, the proteins, and the nucleic acids, and we learn about how they make up your body. Okay, so basically your body processes are based on those 4 macromolecules. So those are the building blocks of you. So we'll talk about those in chapter 2 from your OpenStax textbook. Okay, so I'm going to get out our to-do list. So from our to-do list this week, make sure you do read chapter 2 from your Clackamas Biology OpenStax textbook. It's chapter 3 from Campbell Biology. There is only one section for chapter 2, so you only have one lecture video for chapter 2. Okay, so it's a lot easier this week. So you have your Unit 2 objectives, and then a one video that's involved. I think it's a kind of a long video though, because it covers quite a bit of information. So use the video and your textbook readings, and then the objective to help take notes on the information. There is an extra little table that you can use to help organize your notes that Jennifer Bowen added for you if you're interested in. Okay, so you're welcome to use it if you want to. All right, so once you've completed the textbook readings and the lecture videos, we do have our lecture review worksheet. So this one is pretty straightforward, just like always. For this one, you do need to make sure that for exercise 1, when you're drawing the polymer, you do need to label which is the polymer and what would be the monomers. Okay, so you need to label both. Okay, and you are drawing a picture. So if you're doing this on just on the computer, make sure that you're labeling everything. Okay, and then for exercise 2, you're just including a D or an H beside each of the numbers there. Okay, exercise 3, you're identifying which macromolecule family, so is it a carb, a lipid, a protein, or a nucleic acid, next to which one it is. And then exercise 4, you're trying to identify which one of these is primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure, or quaternary structure for a protein. And notice there's 4 down here, but 5 choices, so obviously you might have more than one. Okay, and then which structural level do each of the following descriptions belong to, so you'll identify which level: primary, secondary, tertiary, or quaternary. Okay, so once you've completed that, you'll go ahead and submit your, sorry, this is an instructor view, but you'll submit your submission by October 13th. Okay, by Sunday. Okay. All right. Oh, before I get into that, the other thing that you're going to be doing this week, let me get the weekly to-do list. Even though this is not due until October 20th, you do have a homeostasis worksheet on respiration that is due, that you might want to start working on this week, because it's a 15-point assignment. So it is quite a lengthy assignment, so better sooner rather than later to get started on it. So where it's located is under our lecture resources. So this is up towards the top of our Moodle page. We have 3 of our homeostasis projects. So this is the very first one. Okay, so I already downloaded it. Where is it? It's over here. There we go. So these homeostasis worksheets basically take some sort of system from the body, and we learn about how homeostasis plays a role in maintaining balance in our body through each of our systems, our body systems. So it kind of weaves the idea of health sciences into cellular biology, basically. And so you're going to be reading the information very carefully and applying it. Okay, so like the first part talks about what homeostasis is. And if you recall, in chapter 1, we learned a little bit about homeostasis. So that is maintaining internal conditions even though your external environment is changing around you. Okay, so think about your temperature. So if I took your temperature right now, it would be about 98 degrees Fahrenheit, even though the temperature outside of your body is something else, right? It's, probably a lot colder than the temperature inside of your body. So your body always stays the same, even though the temperature outside your body is constantly changing. So this idea of maintaining homeostasis, even though the external environment is constantly changing. And so this helps keep balance within your body so that your body can constantly do all of the processes it needs to do in a, kind of a stable environment. Okay, so you're going to be reading through the information and learning about homeostasis first. So this idea of a sensor, a control center, an effector, and kind of filling out the boxes, which you think is which. And then you're going to apply it to an example. So here we're showing homeostasis with the idea of how your body maintains a constant temperature in your, even though the external environment is constantly changing. So what happens when your body temperature, the temperature decreases? If your body temperature starts decreasing, well, what do? You start to, shiver. And so as it's shivering, it starts to produce heat. And then that's going to release, heat to warm yourself up. So that allows your body to, return to normal. But what happens if the temperature starts to rise and your body temperature starts to go above normal? So if your body temperature goes above normal, then your body blood vessels start to dilate, and as it's dilating, you have you're releasing some excess heat. Also, your sweat glands start to secrete sweat, and that evaporates off the surface of your skin, so your body starts to cool. And so that's helps cool the body, so your temperature decreases. So you're kind of doing this idea, and then you need to apply it to what you just learned about homeostasis. And then you'll learn about what's called negative feedback loops and positive feedback loops. So, you don't have chapter 20 in your textbook because you're using the OpenStax textbook, but you can certainly Google homeostasis in the human body and learn about negative feedback and positive feedback, okay? So just Google those terms, okay? Negative feedback in the human body and positive feedback in the human body, and you'll get all that information, okay? Next, we go into the respiratory system. So with the respiratory system, You're going to learn about the different parts of the respiratory system. So you'll identify, you know, what's the alveoli. So you have to identify where it is in this picture. What's the trachea, where it is in the picture, and identify, put, you know, the term next to, you know, the line. Okay, so, you know, list the structures, label the structures. Okay, so here's the structures, label it. And then down below, what's the function of each of these structures. So this, you're going to have to go to old, you know, Google and, you know, find some information. So what is the pharynx? What's the bronchioles? Okay, so what's the alveoli? So make sure that you're choosing reputable websites to visit. Okay, so, you know, think of like an anatomy website to be able to identify the different parts. Okay, so that would be helpful. Right, and then you're going to kind of learn about homeostasis in relation to the respiratory system and the blood pH of your body. So we talk a little bit about this with the blood buffering system that, you know, we talked about. So, you know, with buffers, with the pH, but so with this, you'll kind of understand a little bit about how, you know, carbon dioxide, you know, hydrogen, and, you know, that water and carbon dioxide combine together to form that carbonic acid, which dissociates into bicarbonate, which, you know, releases the hydrogen ions. And so, you know, this can make, you know, the blood more acidic and so forth. So you're going to kind of read through this information and answer the questions along the way. Okay, so what would happen if, you know, your blood pH rose? What if it declined, and so forth? Okay, so even though this is not due until the 20th, you might want to get started on it this week, and that way, if you have questions along the way, you can, you know, start posing those in the Ask and Share forum so that you guys can kind of work together on figuring out the answers together. Okay, so that is also, that's why I have that on the to-do list. All right, so switching over into the lab portion. Okay, so in the lab portion, we are, again, you just have one video this week and one lab, so we're kind of getting back into the normal thing, you know, the normal way we do things. We don't have 2 labs this week like last week. So if you still don't have your lab manual, we do provide a link to the lab manual. Okay, because this is an online class, you know, you won't be able to do all of the activities that's published in the lab manual. So each week you will need to download a supplement. So just, you know, get in the habit of having your lab manual with you and downloading the supplement. So I give it to you in Word format and PDF format, so you can choose which format. So have both of them in front of you when you actually sit down to do your lab. And then I have, just like last week, I have a video that walks you through how to complete the lab. Okay, so these 2 documents are the lab. So the supplement includes what to do when you can't do the sections of the lab because it's, you know, in-person lab manual. So, you know, use the supplement to supplement those activities. And then here's the video to help you walk along. Okay, so you'll be submitting pages from your lab manual. So there's 5 pages that you'll be submitting for credit. And then there is the worksheet, reviewing your knowledge. So here's the link that you'll be using to submit your pages. Okay, and then the reviewing your knowledge. This one you didn't do last week because you had a quiz, but I'll just show you what it looks like. So sometimes there's, you know, just definition type questions, or, you know, there's, you know, short answer type questions. And then sometimes there's like some harder to answer type questions, so critical thinking questions. All right, so usually there's a mixture of both. Okay, so once you complete that, then you just you submit it for points. All right. So with the lab, again, you'll have, two things to submit each week. So you'll have your pages from the lab manual as well as the reviewing your knowledge pages. Last week I forgot to show you this. You have a supplemental resources section. So this is just other things that you can use if you need them. So like there's, some information about macromolecules. I show you this video already in our lecture, but there it is again. Here's like a little interactive practice Quizlet. There's, other things on like protein structures and lipids and, all sorts of stuff, lab testing resources and so forth. So if you ever need any of that stuff, you can find them under the study resources section. Okay. So what is due this week? You have your worksheet that's due for the lecture portion. You have the worksheet that's due for the lab portion, and then you're submitting your pages from the lab manual for credit. Okay. And then you have your lab quiz, or your lecture lab quiz, I should say. So that lecture lab quiz is based on the chapter 2 from your textbook, as well and the lecture, and then as well as the lab on macromolecules. Okay, so that that closes Monday midnight. All right. And then just FYI, we do have extra credit in this class. There will be a few extra credit opportunities offered throughout the term. 2 of them are available now, so because they have to do with what we're talking about in class. So one is this fiber in your diet extra credit, and the other survey of nutritional labels. Each of the extra credits, by the way, are up to 5 points extra credit. So if you submit this, you might get up to 5 extra credit points. These 2 extra credit assignments are due by the midterm. So when's the midterm? Like week 6. So, by the end of week 5. So here's 10 extra credit points available that you can do, within the next couple weeks by the midterm. For 10 extra credit points. The other extra credits, by the way, they're all located at the bottom. Okay, so if you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 opportunities. And as far as the extra credit total, you can have up to 20 extra credit points. Okay, so up to 4 assignments. So you can choose up to 4 of these assignments. So here's 2 right here, and then there's 5 others that you'll get to choose from later on. Okay, so if you don't want to do any extra credit this week or next week or whatever, there's 5 more coming up. Okay, all right. If you have any questions, feel free to stop by my office hours or shoot me an email. Otherwise, good luck.